Good evening and welcome to tonight's election forum, the Brooklyn Park Mayoral Forum. This forum is brought to you by Beyond Media Solutions and Mshale. My name is Collins Kofi Oppong with African Let's Talk. We are a local community media organization focused on informing and educating community members on local current events with diaspora impact. Alongside me is a moderator, Simba from Mshale.
Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Beyond. Good evening. My name is Cindy and I'm a reporter with Mshale. We're an African community newspaper based here in the Twin Cities. As many of you know, the city of Brooklyn Park is holding a special election session for the mayoral position. This is going to be the city's 6th special election in the past 20 years, and this is the second time that the mayoral position has been vacant. There are 7 verified candidates running for the position. Joining us tonight are 5 of the 7 verified candidates vouching for the highest position in the city's council.
Candidates will each be granted 2 minutes to provide opening statements and introductions before questioning begins. After the introductory session, candidates will be given 1.5 minutes to answer the questions. Questions to the candidates are written questions submitted and duly sourced from the community. The candidate's order of appearance is of a first name basis, and each candidate will be given an opportunity to answer first. Now, let's meet all the participating candidates for tonight. Benjamin Osemenam.
Good evening.
Good evening. Boyd Morrison.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollies Winston. Winford Russell.
Hello there. Thank you.
And Yelena Kudumova. So please, viewers and of course the community, these are the candidates for tonight's candidates forum, and we entreat you as community members to please share the video. If you have questions for the candidates at some point, you are more than welcome to leave the questions in the comment box, and we may ask the candidates your questions for you. Now, beginning with you, Mr. Benjamin Osemenam, please, can you present your opening statement?
Good evening, moderators. Good evening, Brooklyn Park audience. My name is Benjamin Osemenam, born and raised in Nigeria, a citizen of US. I have lived in Brooklyn Park since 1988. I have a wonderful daughter in a PA program at Missouri State University. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, master in infrastructure system engineering and management from U of M, and an MBA from Mankato State University. I am currently employed by Minnesota Department of Transportation, MINDOT, and have been with them for over 30 years. At MINDOT, I built a nationally recognized public-public and public-private partnership. I also work extensively with League of Minnesota Cities, different counties, and the local road research board in acquiring in-depth knowledge on issues facing different cities, especially Brooklyn Park. As your next mayor, I intend to utilize the experience in addressing issues that pertain to our city. In addition to that experience, I am the past president of Association of Nigerian Engineers in Minnesota, ANEM, past parish advisory board chair at St. Olaf Catholic Church, volunteer at Dorothy Day and Sharing and Caring Hands, Minneapolis. Currently a member of the Board of Trustees at St. Olaf Catholic Church. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, candidates, Mr. Osemenam. Now to you, candidate Boyd Morrison, please, your opening statement.
Good afternoon. Thank you guys for hosting this forum to bring the perspectives of the candidates here to all of the residents in our city of Brooklyn Park, to give them a chance to get an in-depth understanding of who we are, the candidates vying for office of the mayor of Brooklyn Park. I am Boyd Morrison. I'm currently Central District City Council that's serving the Central District. It's been an honor and a welcome pleasure to be able to serve you in the particular Central District. I'm a longtime resident, nearly 20 years here in Brooklyn Park, Married to my first lady for nearly 35 years, be 36 years this year. Together we have gave birth to 3 great children, adopted a Liberian daughter who we put into school right now, and we have 3 great grandchildren, 3 beautiful grandchildren, should I say, and 2 on the way. We got 2 more this year, so we look for those gifts and blessings this year. I'm running as the 13th mayor of the only Purple Heart awarded city in Hennepin County. And what better way to represent our city than elect a veteran, the only veteran to serve you, the people within this community, in this country, trained and prepared for moments of civil unrest, controversies and challenges, tried, tested, and proven, a bold, brave, and courageous leader, learned the honest way through hard work and through perseverance, learned by the Navy. I'm bringing that same bold, brave, and courageous to our city to begin to have the conversations that we need to have, that we are not having. Again, that we need to have, to begin uniting our fragmented community, to give us a bridge together as one united Brooklyn Park, that we can walk hand in hand together in harmony and united to show others how we can develop a blueprint that other cities can follow. I want to become the most visible face, the most careful listener, the most credible voice, and a direct gateway to our state and federal legislators for our first in line resources for our Mosaic community that give us sustainability for years and years to come. You know, I'm looking out for our everyday common people, the you, the me, the we, the us, our families, our friends, their families, our cities, and our community. Our seniors and retirees who are on fixed income whose money isn't changing. Our middle class families also feeling the pinch, and our families are simply caught up in a struggle in the crevices of life, still struggling.
Thank you very much, candidates Boyd Morrison. Now we'd move to candidate Hollies Winston. Please, 2 minutes also for your opening statement. Please, you're on mute, if you can unmute.
Okay, so I'll start over. But I want to thank the moderators for having me to this event. For the folks out there that are listening, I want to thank my wonderful wife, 17 years, and my 3 beautiful children for all the support they've shown me. As far as my resume and background, we'll get much more into that, but I'm a businessman. I received my MBA from Carlson School of Management, where I graduated as class president. But more importantly, I'm running because my story, the story of my family, is very much like what you see in Brooklyn Park. And in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, a ton of African Americans moved from the Jim Crow South, where they're dealing with the oppression and the violence and the lack of opportunity. My grandfather actually moved away because he saw a lynching in his city. So they moved to Chicago, where there was more opportunity, more jobs. They took those opportunities, worked extremely hard, started businesses, and passed those along to my parents. My parents were able to maximize those. They moved to Minnesota for even more opportunity and passed that along to me. The issue I see with Brooklyn Park is that many of those opportunities that existed then, those jobs, great education that my parents fought so hard for, we don't see that offered in Brooklyn Park. We don't see people fighting for that. So the reason I'm running is because I want everybody, regardless of your story or where you're from, to have equal access to opportunity. I cannot guarantee equal outcome, but I fight to guarantee equal opportunity for those who want it, for those who are willing to work hard, and for every resident of Brooklyn Park. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, candidate Winston. Now to you, candidate Winfred Russell.
Thank you, and thanks to you all for putting this together. It's a wonderful opportunity to be able to get our messages, our views, and our thoughts out to the residents out there. I came here seeking the American dream. I came here as a refugee student from war-torn Liberia, and I've been given an opportunity to work, to learn, and to serve. And so I'm very grateful to the people of Brooklyn Park for electing me as a city council member, currently serving, representing the West District. I've been on the council now for 2 years. I enjoy working with a number of groups in the community. I come with many years of experience, having worked at the University of Minnesota, worked on H1N1, worked in Ebola response and polio eradication, and I currently serve as a statewide coordinator for a COVID-19 project. All of these opportunities would not have happened had I not been given an opportunity here in the United States. So I'm very grateful. I'm very honored to be here and serving the people of Brooklyn Park. And when you make me your mayor, you know that you have someone who has a long track record of serving the community, of bringing people together, of building bridges, and of delivering services. So I ask for your vote now. Elections are taking place now. The vote is taking place now at the City Hall, but please vote for me. April the 13th is election, and I will appreciate your vote. Every vote counts. I know it because I've experienced that. So your trust is with me, and I can assure you that I will be a great steward
Thank you very much,
of your resources.
Candidate
Thank you.
Russell. I would have to now move on to candidate Yelena Kudumova, please. 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you for inviting me. 25 years ago, I came to the United States. I've been living in Brooklyn Park 11 years, and I own a small business for 11 years, registered in Brooklyn Park. I own a company, International Interpreting, Translation, and PR Services. I've got master's degree in linguistics, language teaching, interpreting, translation, and literary editing. I am also a freelance sports journalist stringer. I served 3 years in Brooklyn Park Human Rights Commission in 2010 to 2013 and got a thank you plaque from former Mayor Jeff Land. I also served on Hennepin County Human Resources Board. This is my third race for Mayor of Brooklyn Park. From 2014 up till present, I participated in 5 election campaigns for mayor and for council member of Brooklyn Park. And during these election campaigns, I talked a lot to Brooklyn Park residents, and I personally met with thousands of them, and they supported my agenda. They, in their turn, told me about their concerns, about things which must be resolved in the city, about the issues they have. And I'm well aware what people of Brooklyn Park feel and what they strive at. This will help me to serve them. Many Brooklyn Park constituents to whom I spoke since 2014 up to present said that the best mayor of Brooklyn Park was Jesse Ventura. And Jesse Ventura was a journalist. So among the 7 candidates for mayor of Brooklyn Park now, I'm the only journalist. And being a mayor, I shall do my best to stay connected to every little thing in the community, hear from people, and address their needs.
Thank you very much. Candidate Kudumova, please. We would like to bring in my co-moderator to take it from here.
Thank you so much, candidates, for the opening statements. We will now proceed to the questioning session. You will each have 1.5 minutes. So beginning with Mr. Osemenam. To sustain a flourishing local economy, the right programs and policies are essential to ensure the rapid development of Brooklyn Park. If elected as mayor, what will be your top 2 priorities for reform? Mr. Osemenam? Candidates will have 1.5 minutes. Mr. Osemenam, are you with us?
Sorry about that. Yes. Like I mentioned, I have 3, ranked priorities, equally ranked. One is affordable housing, and that is implementing our expanded 4D program to assist struggling homeowners and renters with their mortgage and rents that are skyrocketing, and provide a coordinated entry program to our brothers and sisters that have been displaced that are now homeless. The second is property tax reduction to generate revenue through innovation and creativity and the elimination of waste to reduce our property tax. The third is clean water and clean and soft water supply. As your next mayor, I will remove hardness and particulates from our water supply. At the last forum, it was mentioned that the city does not have money to clean our water. But one of the people that mentioned that was on the budget commission, and the other was a city council member that voted to give a staff 10,000 raise, but there was not enough money to clean our water. Now, it makes you wonder, where are our priorities? Hopefully, Brooklyn Park residents will hear them and know who really fights for them. And that is Benjamin Osemenam. I hope I can count on your vote.
Thank you so much, Mr. Osemenam. Moving along to our next candidate, Mr. Morrison. You have a minute and a half.
Thank you. My first priority would be as the same as I seek today as a city council member, would be transforming and reforming our police department. Not defunding it, but transforming and reforming it. I have implemented so many ways that we can look and consider. As a week ago, about 2 weeks ago, I was in Detroit visiting this project called the Green Light Project that has reduced crime immensely in Detroit, which is cameras situated throughout our city with a joint effort with our community partners, our businesses, that will begin to take real-time camera footage that's monitored by the police that will be able to detect crime and or see witness crime as it's really happening. This is a face recognition camera. It's also so detailed it can visibly display a person's tattoo that's on their body as well. These are some things that we need to look into to begin to make our community safe. Also to begin an initiative of community radio patrol where our volunteers will be our own neighborhoods, our own people from our community, donating, giving, volunteering an hour to 2 hours of their own time to patrol their own neighbors with beacon lights that's driving all around the city, just being additional eyes and ears to our particular police with a radio walkie-talkie in their hand to be able to call the police who's trained to come out to any situation that they may see with their own eyes, that they're not allowed to get out to handle any type of those type of situations. But also just to bring the police to the scene of the crime, to help reduce crime, to witness crimes, and also to make our community feel safe. So community reforming with the police department is my major priority, as well as uniting our community, excuse me.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Morrison. Moving along to our next candidate, Mr. Winston. You have a minute and a half.
So thank you. So really it's three things: public safety, COVID-19 recovery, and small businesses. The last two kind of wrap around into kind of the same arena, but public safety. Violent crime has risen in Brooklyn Park. People are scared, but there's also some of the other issues around reform with that. And so the solution to that is really community policing, right? Police get out their cars, they have a better idea of what's going on in the community. You find out areas where if someone has a mental health issue or a child with mental health issue, you're able to get them the resources rather than escalating the situation. The other thing to prevent it in the future is going to be youth programming. So you have to get more programs to connect youth to union apprenticeships, North Hennepin College, or college prep programs. So that's how you get your hands around public safety. COVID-19 has a business element to it in terms of we got to get our small businesses healthy again. Part of that is working with the legislature and pulling on those resources to make sure that we're getting the amount of resources we need to those small businesses, but also zoning and finding ways to get our businesses along that light rail if it does come to Brooklyn Park. So for me, it's really helping small businesses recover and public safety. Last thing in closing, I'll say is this: I'm the guy who sat on the Budget Advisory Commission. Paying someone $10,000 for hard work is very different than a $20 to $25 million bill to fix hard water versus investing in public safety and many of the issues that people in Brooklyn Park are concerned about.
All right, thank you so much. Now moving along to our next candidate, Mr. Russell.
Thank you. My focus is going to be for reform. As big as Brooklyn Park is, the sixth largest city in the state, we don't have a public health department. So one priority, one of my top priorities will be looking at trying to develop and institutionalize a public health department. I'm the only candidate here that comes in with extensive public health experience, working in country and out of country, so with overseas experience as well, and that is currently working on a statewide COVID-19 response program. I pushed through the policy. That's why we have a COVID-19 testing center here in Brooklyn Center. So I bring that leadership, I bring that experience. For me, community safety is about looking at all of the social determinants that come together to conspire as to why we have criminal activities and tension between the police and the community. All of those different issues, I would like to see them reform and address in a comprehensive way. How do we improve upon our parks in the northern part of Brooklyn Park as well as in the southern part of Brooklyn Park, and create more amenities for young people, more programs, and fund those programs so that young people will be able to have things.
All right, moving along, last but not least, Madame Kudumova. You have a minute and a half.
Okay. I see most critical issues which need to be resolved in Brooklyn Park. Stop growth of violent crime in Brooklyn Park. Stop growth of property taxes for homeowners, and find new corridor for light rail. To ensure rapid development of Brooklyn Park, I'm also looking forward for marijuana legalization bill initiated by House Majority Leader Ryan Winkler to pass through Minnesota Congress. When it passes and becomes a law, it will open new legal opportunities for Brooklyn Park small businesses, marijuana dispensaries. It will be important to regulate this market in Brooklyn Park. Brooklyn Park residents won't have to go to other states like South Dakota to buy cannabis, but will buy locally and leave their money in the city where they live. Legal marijuana businesses will pay taxes, and Brooklyn Park budget will get a better money flow from this. I shall oppose further increase of property taxes now that many Brooklyn Park homeowners are not working full-time, retired, and suffer from limited income due to the pandemic. Salary increases for mayor and council members must not be followed by property tax increase as it happened before. And I shall promote light rail construction because of its positive effect on environment and on community.
Yep. Thank you so much, Ms. Kurdyomova. As you can tell, we are strict on the timing this evening. Thank you for answering your questions on your policies. And now we're moving along to our second question. Mr. Collins?
All right. Thank you very much, Cindy. Once again, this is the Brooklyn Park Mayoral Candidates Forum, and we are actually engaging with 5 of the candidates on their policies and some of the things that they care about, which affects the community. Please, if you join the conversation, you are more than welcome to share the video. Invite your friends, especially the friends that you know in Brooklyn Park, to be part of this conversation and forum. So that we can all listen and learn more from our candidates who are participating in the forum tonight. This is made possible by the kind collaboration of Beyond Media Solutions as well as Mshale. So please, would like to say a very big thank you to our partners for bringing this together. Now we would move on to the next question. Indeed, policing in Brooklyn Park continues to attract very close scrutiny from the community and its members who are concerned about police brutality and the call for police reforms, especially following the death of George Floyd. The question is, what is your assessment of policing in Brooklyn Park, and what steps will you take to address the shortfalls? I would like to begin with you, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you once again. Just so the community is aware, we have a police and racial justice study that's going on with Wilder. I'm the council member that sits on this particular committee that's reviewing all of the policing practices and responses and interactions within our particular community to come back with a report to bring back to our council for review as well as to take action. So I'm one that's first in hand with finding out, exploring, seeking opportunities of how we can create a better police department in our community by engaging our community. I also put out, again, as I mentioned, a blueprint called Safer, Protected, and Respected Community that lists a lot of ideas that I have for transforming and reforming our police department. And you can find that on my website, which is too lengthy to ask for me to go into through this conversation about the limited time that we do have. But I'm looking forward to providing and getting back to the days of yesterday of community policing, when police knew who we were and we knew who the police were. So they knew who we were again. So back in the day when we had police living within our community and we knew them and they knew us. So that's what policing looks like to me. And that's how we would change our policing and the way we police in Brooklyn Park.
All right. Thank you very much. Now to you, candidates. Winston, please.
Yeah. So, depending on where you go in Brooklyn Park, right? People are going to define their relationship with the police and the need for reform differently. What I'll say to that is, I think there does need to be an improvement in terms of relationships. And I think we do need to get back to that community policing where police get out their cars, they understand what's going on on a block by block basis. Now, whether having them live in our community is going to change it, there are still people who will live. When we had that type of community policing, right, there was still the disparities and the increases, injustice that was going on. So I think you also have to get to this fact of representation, right? So the police force has to look very much like the community that is going to be policing. And then you also have to have a youth presence. You have to have things for children to do where there's less interaction with them, with the police. Some of that has to do with, jobs programs. Some of that has to do with just more recreational programs for them to get involved with during the summer or just throughout the school year. So I think it's community policing has to be brought back. We have to have much better representation, and we have to have things for youth to do. I think if we get our hands around that, then we create a much better relationship between the community and the police.
Thank you very much. Now to you, candidate Russell, please. You also have a minute and a half.
Thank you. Like I've said before, and I'll continue to say, the Brooklyn Park Police have been doing a great job. But as we've seen in the community, a lot of people don't see that. A lot of people have had a problem with the Brooklyn Park Police. I've been here for 18 years. I've not had any problem with Brooklyn Park Police. But that doesn't mean that some resident down the street or someone who looks like me, who lives across 85th, may have had a problem with the Brooklyn Park Police. So that's part of why I supported the Wilder research that is now taking place. That's why I voted to support that. That's why I pushed to support that. So we get to understand what is working and what is not, and how we can make some changes here and there. So we need to bring the community and the police together. We need to have the police force included with people who look like me, who look like 56% of the people who live in Brooklyn Park. So that diversity needs to be also in the Brooklyn Park Police Department. Diversion programs. We need diversion programs at the Brooklyn Park Police Department, where folks who get into trouble for the very first time, they can get into doing something else as opposed to getting a criminal.
Thank you very much, candidate Russell. Now I'd like to turn my attention to you, candidate Kudumova, please. You also have a minute and a half for the same question on policing.
Okay. Brooklyn Park Police is working hard, and I shall work together with Police Department to determine and eliminate potential causes leading to violent crimes and racial and national conflicts. When it becomes available, I shall use the report by Wilder Research Company, which will evaluate Brooklyn Park Police work and areas for improvement, underlying causes leading to growth of violent crimes in pandemic era. To restore the confidence of residents in the police, I shall initiate monthly virtual City Hall meetings allowing community and police to meet, and I shall recommend Brooklyn Park Police Chief to exchange experience as often as possible with police chiefs of Brooklyn Center, New Hope, Crystal, Robbinsdale, and how their police departments build trust with communities of color. I'll encourage residents to report any case of police brutality and systematic racism to Human Rights Commission of Brooklyn Park, which will investigate and make decisions on every case, and I shall request publication in local media of feature articles on the results of investigations conducted by Human Rights Commission on every case of brutality or systemic racism or police brutality in Brooklyn Park.
All right, thank you very much, candidate Kudumova. Now I'd like to turn my attention to you, candidate Osemenam, please. You also have 1.5 minutes for the same question.
Thank you. As people before me stated, we have great police department here in Brooklyn Park, but we do have shortfalls, and I will address those by implementing my Towards Zero Police Incident and Crime program, which includes but not limited to employ Brooklyn Park initiative for effective community engagement. The second is de-escalation of tension between police and residents by ending over-policing in certain areas, certain sections of our city, and increasing the use of neighborhood watch or community policing in those areas, replacing the phrase like fighting crime, which implies use of force or gun, with mitigating crime. The third is implementing an after-school program to engage our children and protect them from criminals. The fourth is enforcement of body camera for all police stops. The fifth is appointment of a third-party independent body to investigate all police incidents. The sixth is protecting immigrants from crime against them by having the police chief sign off on all V visas. The sixth, but and the final is partnering with the state Towards Zero Death program to implement.
Thank you very much, candidates Osemenam. Once again, this is the Brooklyn Park Candidates Mayoral Forum, and this is brought to you by the kind partnership of Beyond Media Solutions and Mshale. Now I turn to you, Simba, please, to take over from here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now up to our third question of the evening. So the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed incredible economic disparities within communities of color where access to affordable healthcare has been most challenging. If elected, is there any comprehensive healthcare reform you will support? Why or why not? Mr. Winston?
Yeah, so of course, I mean, part of the issue, if I'm just being honest, right, is that within the purview of city government, that's not necessarily an issue we decide, but it would be something we would work with the state legislature to say, how do we expand some of the affordable programs that we already have? How do we tap into some of the federal programs we have so that we can make it much more affordable for people to get the health care that I feel every American deserves, right? And I think part of the case is because if we have a healthier population, people are able to be much more productive. They're able to be there for their families. They're able to be there for their family longer. So I would very much support it. I think the thing that concerns me most right now, however, is COVID-19. And the reason why is, yes, we have vaccines coming out. But one of the things we've seen in Brooklyn Park is that if Brooklyn Park gets involved in getting that information out about the vaccine, we've got to do a better job than we have with other programs. A lot of programs, whether it's funding for businesses or other things, it'll go to the exact usual suspects that we always see get that. We need to make sure that everybody, their grandmother, their children, their friends, understands exactly where they can get that vaccine, exactly how they can sign up for it, so that everyone can get it. We can get past this COVID-19 vaccine. We can get our kids back to school, and we can make sure we get our businesses back up and running, and we can return back to life as normal. So for me, that's the most pressing priority. Secondarily, I think we need to work with other folks to make sure we have more affordable health care.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Winston. And moving along with candidate Russell.
Yes, for the healthcare reform in Brooklyn Park, for a city the size of Brooklyn Park, Bloomington has a department of health. I would like to see us push to create a Department of Health here, and so that we are looking at all of the social determinants of health, all of the different issues in the city that are responsible for why we have such a high disease burden around cardiovascular diseases, around obesity, and a lot of health issues. So those are some of the things that I think that I would like to push as far as healthcare reform is concerned. We'll be working with Department of Health and Hennepin County Health Department to ensure that our folks are healthy, our folks have active living activities here in the city. I am the only candidate who coordinates a statewide COVID-19 response work. It's because of my leadership, it's because of my experience. I'll bring that to the table. We talk about vaccine access and testing access. People can call 763-307-4731. They will be helped. This is a hotline that I manage in Brooklyn Park. So people can call that number if they need access to vaccine or if they need access to testing services. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Russell. Moving along with to Madame Kudumova. You have a minute and a half.
Yeah. I want to say that I support the ongoing reform in the medicine, which is built on Affordable Care Act by giving Americans more choice, reducing healthcare costs, and making our healthcare system less complex to navigate. As for me, I think that medicine must be free. Medical care must be free, like it's free in some countries in Europe, free for everyone, for all residents. It's hard to achieve, I understand. What we can do in Brooklyn Park, as a mayor, I will support more clinics which will be able to see patients without any insurance and where they won't have to pay big money for seeing a doctor. I don't think that the main issue, the only main issue is now getting vaccinated. There are many other healthcare issues to which people must, to medical care, to which people must have access. So for the beginning, just have more clinics serving patients without insurances. And then after the ongoing immigration reform succeeds, and there will be a clear path for immigrants to get green cards when they...
All right, thank you so much, candidate Kudumova. Moving along to Mr. Osemenam.
Yes, I will support the reform of the affordable care to expand accessibility to broader population and address the cost issue by encouraging open competition with global pharmaceutical companies. For speaking of COVID-19, that exposed another shortfall in our city. For such an emergency, we don't even have an emergency response plan, which I have been advocating for years, a public-private emergency response team to come up with emergency response plan for the city that can be revisited quarterly or semi-annually for updates. This will enable us have a plan ready when the next COVID-19 happens. And also, what stops us from having a public-private partnership with Maple Grove Hospital and having a hospital in our city? These are some businesses that will yield us tax revenue and at the same time be beneficial to our city. I have advocated for that too. And with me as your next mayor, that will become a reality. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Osemenam. Now moving along to our last candidate, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you. I too want to echo what candidate Hollis Winston mentioned, that this is our state issues. As we sit here and being honest and truthful, you see that the president is still struggling with COVID-19 issues being implemented within our neighborhoods and our community. The governors are having problems allocating these particular services to our cities that they're representing, the states that they're representing. This is a huge undertaking. And the mayor's responsibility is not that. My responsibility is to get those orders from the governor and the CDC to implement, to ensure that these benefits are coming to our particular community. As I mentioned, I'll be a direct gateway to our state legislature for that first-in-line resources for our particular city. So whatever the CDC comes up with, whatever the governor implements, That's what any city mayor would have to be holding to. And this is what I'm looking forward to do, to make sure that I'm there advocating for our first and eye resources that will benefit our particular residents in our community, our seniors, retirees, our middle class families, and our families that struggle and caught up in the crevices of life, and our youth, lost, forgotten population of youth within our community. But as mayor, these are the things that I will be doing, advocating for benefits, first and line resources for our mosaic population of community that we serve. Again, but that's only in partnership with our state and federal legislators to make sure I'm there for those first and line resources.
Thank you so much, Mr. Morrison. Moving along to our fourth question of the evening.
All right, thank you very much, Cindy. Once again, this is the Brooklyn Park Mayoral Candidates Forum right here on African Let's Talk, a collaboration of Beyond Media Solutions and Mshale. At this moment, we're going to take just a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. The next set of questions will be on housing crisis. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Indeed, once again, like I mentioned, if you have any question or any feedback, especially questions for the candidates, we'll be approaching that time very soon where we can take your questions from the live transmission, especially if you are watching through Mshale as well as African Let's Talk. Now to the fourth question of the night on housing crisis. Brooklyn Park is dealing with the housing crisis. The city has some of the highest eviction rates in the state and has a significant population of its people who are spending at least 50% or more of their income on housing costs. As candidates, how will you address this issue? I would like to begin with you, Mr. Russell, please.
Thank you. Yes, indeed, we do have a housing crisis here in Brooklyn Park, and it's something I'm very familiar with and something that I'm currently working on. I've worked on since been on the council now for 2 years. Huntington, a massive apartment complex here in Brooklyn Park, is the second largest apartment complex in the state. Huntington was about to be sold to a company out in Chicago. We stood our ground and said, no, that was not going to happen. We eventually sold Huntington. Huntington was eventually bought by a nonprofit organization, preventing a lot of people, 80+% of folks who are people of color, prevented them from being evicted. Since COVID-19 hit and disrupted the economy, and there are a lot of folks on the verge of being evicted, I pushed through policies with my other colleagues on the council to ensure that eviction didn't take place in Brooklyn Park and didn't harm our folks. So my proposal and my drive as your mayor, your next mayor here in the city of Brooklyn Park, would be to build more and develop more diverse affordable housing stock. We need more housing stock where people are not paying more than 30% of their income on housing. That will be my push. That will be my drive to ensure that we
Thank you very much, candidate Russell. I would like to move on now to you, Madam Kudumova, please, for a minute and a half.
Yes. Yes, there is housing crisis in Brooklyn Park and all over the country. And according to National Low-Income Housing Coalition, U.S. Congress should extend the federal eviction moratorium through the duration of the public emergency and address the moratorium's shortcoming by improving and enforcing the order. Congress should also provide additional resources and protections to address the health and housing needs of America's lowest income resources and people experiencing homelessness. Becoming a mayor, I shall stand for building more affordable housing complexes, and I shall attract investors and seek possibilities for receiving from Hennepin County and from state of Minnesota additional financing for realization of Brooklyn Park projects. And first of all, affordable housing, improving transportation, building light rail, improving bus service, but housing will be the first issue for which I will do my best to attract funds.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to turn my attention to you, Mr. Osemenam, please, for a minute and a half on the question on housing crisis.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier on my affordable housing program, the expanded 4D program, it will assist struggling homeowners with their mortgages, reduce skyrocketing rents, and provide aid to renters and people that need assistance. We will initiate, as part of that program, a moratorium on eviction by building partnership with landlords. In addition, we will use the coordinated entry program to assist those that have already lost their homes due to skyrocketing rents. In Brooklyn Park, the City Council supported the Huntington Agreement as an affordable housing. And that wasn't an affordable housing because the people that bought the property that we gave incentives to agreed to gradually increase the rent of the people there. Now, what happens? Okay, people are complaining about their rent being so high, yet the agreement is to gradually increase it. That means displacing a lot of people. That is not affordable housing. I will initiate a 4D expanded program that will be true affordable housing, like what they have at Ramsey County, to really start addressing our
very much, candidate Osemenam. Now I'd like to move on to you, candidate Morrison, please. A minute and a half also for the question on housing crisis in Brooklyn Park.
Thank you. I just want to lend my voice to say this. This matter of affordable housing that came before council as I serve currently on affordable housing, we have to understand what affordable means. When they present affordable, remember, people can afford it, but it's the people who they're attracting is what we have to pay attention to. There's always going to be somebody that can afford it. Now, let me say this. I am the only council member that had voted to abstain from bringing in what appeared to be sold as affordable housing, which was brought in at a 60% market rate to sell to our residents in Brooklyn Park. I'm the only one that abstained from that. So any council member that's currently serving voted to support what was not affordable homes and property within our community. I am once again the only person that abstained from voting to bring this to our community because it's at a 60% market rate when we was only at 30%, which therefore means our residents are paying 30% more than they can afford, and the developer said that they will raise the rent every year thereafter. So they're coming in with a studio apartment at almost $1,000. I don't understand how that's affordable. Who is that affordable to? But remember, it's affordable to somebody, but it may not be the low-income families. This is an outdated primitive tactic that city's been using for a long time to get rid of low-income families and low-income communities and poverty-stricken communities by selling something as affordable, but it's not affordable. So the people.
Thank you very much, candidate Morson. I would like to bring you in now, candidate Winston, please. A minute and a half also for the same question on housing crisis in Brooklyn Park. I believe you're on mute, sir, if you can unmute.
So I hate to agree with my opponent, Boyd Morrison, but I will. I watched that city council, and there were those who were supporting something that would be entirely unaffordable for folks, and then there were those who were fighting to make sure people could afford it. This is near and dear to my heart. I have 3 children, a wife. There were times that affordable housing didn't quite seem so affordable to me, and so I wish I had other options because I would have been a little bit further ahead in life. And this is something that goes back generations. When I was maybe 25, talked to my mother about my grandparents' house, and I realized they had just begun to afford that house maybe 5 years before I was born. So it's an issue that's been going on for quite some time. It affects people. You have to diversify. You have to make sure that affordable housing is also livable. So when you talk about, various apartment complexes, we have to make sure that people are in livable conditions. But you also have to take those funds that you get, resource and look at houses that are already affordable, make sure they stay affordable so that people can get into them. And then we also have to find programs to get people out of affordable housing eventually into long-term homes, because that's where people's going to build their wealth. That's where they're going to be able to find the wealth to put their children in college and retire with some grace. So it's a difficult issue, but it's one that we need to be able to attack, and we've got to attack it from a place of heart versus just checking the box.
All right, thank you. Please, my co-moderator, you may take over now.
All right, thank you so much. We're moving along to our 5th question of the evening. So the city of Brooklyn Park has a growing immigrant population, which contributes significantly to their communities. What view, if any, do you have on comprehensive immigration reform, starting with Madame Kudumova? Can we please have candidate move on screen? All right.
Oh, okay. I think that immigrant community can greatly contribute into the development of the city. I was an immigrant myself 25 years ago. Now I am a US citizen and small business owner in Brooklyn Park. I, in my company, have contractors from all over the world with different European, African, and Asian languages, and many of them are immigrants. I know that immigrants bring new brain force, new skills, like IT specialists, scientists, medical professionals from Eastern Europe did. They create new businesses and work opportunities for other people. For example, in St. Louis Park, there is Life Medical Clinic created by Russian immigrants, which has family and specialty doctors, physical therapy, medical cannabis legalization. In Brooklyn Park, we have Nasha Shkola charter school, where along with regular curriculum, Russian language and culture are taught. It has students not only from Russian immigrant families, but from American heritage families too. I want more businesses like this created by immigrants in Brooklyn Park. And as for the reform, the US Citizens Act of 2021 seeks to reform major areas of the US immigration system, including creating new paths to citizenship for undocumented individuals and individuals with temporary status, as well as increasing the efficiency of various employment-based immigrant processes.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Kudumova. Moving along to our next candidate, Mr. Osemenam. You have a minute and a half.
Thank you. I support the immigration reform, which is the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021 by President Biden. However, as Congress continues to deliberate on a permanent immigration reform, a temporary executive order barring deportation of law-abiding immigrants and concurrently addressing the border issue and global migration is really urgently needed. Now, at the city level, what do we do? As your next mayor, I will work with the police chief to sign off on all V visas, which protects immigrants from crime against them. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, that V visa is part of my Towards Zero police incident and crime program. And one other thing that I didn't mention, that I was mentioning, was the establishment of public-public and public-private citywide surveillance system linked to the police that is not similar to what you have, for the green light in Detroit, but something that is done in conjunction with our towards zero debt that will really totally address our crime problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Cinnamon. Now moving along to our next candidate, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you. Immigrants, which I don't like using the word, but they have contributed, not just to Brooklyn Park, they have contributed to America's economy. Citizen. But Brooklyn Park is the largest expanded demographically mixed community in the region in the past 35 years. Yet our city has not kept pace with those changing dynamics. I'm here to begin to respect, value, include, begin to weave the fabric that we're trying to weave here in Brooklyn Park by uniting our community. This is something that's not new, but they've been contributing for a long time. And by Brooklyn Park being the largest area outside of Liberia for Liberians, we need to make sure that we recognize who we are. You won't even hear city staff mention that we're a community of color. Listen to them closely. They won't even say that we are a community of color here. So we have to begin to acknowledge and respect who we are in our community first, of all populations of people.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Morrison. Moving along to the next candidate, Mr. Winston. You have a minute and a half.
Because you guys are on top of the time. But what I'll say is a lot of times people will look at immigration as if they're doing someone a favor. And really the story of America is about immigrants, people from all over the world coming here, providing ideas, providing a workforce, creating big ideas and big companies that change the world. And I very much feel that's still a part of America. But there's also this issue of, and people don't mention it much, but the new workforce going down the road is going to be much blacker and browner. And that's because Americans who are born in America just aren't having children the way they used to have children. So we need to have immigrants to continue building the America that we've always loved. And we need to do that in the future. But we also need to but when we talk about operationalizing that, right, we need to make sure that, dreamers, so the children of folks who came illegally, we take care of them. We also need to have a comprehensive path to citizenship so people understand exactly what they're getting into when they get here, so that we can get people naturalized, get them to all the benefits of America so they can continue to contribute and build the ideas, the stability, the prosperity that has made America great and will continue to make America great going down the road.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Winston. Moving along, Mr. Russell.
Thank you. I do support comprehensive immigration reform at the federal level and at the national level. The local level, I have a proven track record of working collaboratively with so many different immigrant groups, with the Liberian immigrant community that were here for 30 years in sort of like a stalemate on this status called DED, or TPS first and then DED. I work with local leaders, municipalities, state leaders, congressional leaders, and various organizations in Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., to ensure that Liberians, for once in 30 years, got a comprehensive immigration pathway to citizenship. I took trips to D.C. multiple times with multiple groups, but it's not only the Liberians that I work with in trying to give them immigration relief, but also the Somali community, with the Yemeni community, with folks from Honduras and El Salvador. Brooklyn Park population constitutes 56% people of color. And out of that 56%, 26% of folks are foreign born. So we need immigrants here. Immigrants help to maintain our way of life, help to stay.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Russell. Now we're moving along to audience questions.
All right, thank you very much, Cindy. Now to the audience question. The question we have for each candidate, and we're we're going to stick to a minute and a half instead of 1 minute for the audience question. It says, in the years you have been living in Brooklyn Park, can you state the changes you have observed and the change you wish to see in the future? And we would like to begin with you, Mr. Osemenam, please.
Thank you so much. When I moved to Brooklyn Park in 1988, I witnessed a community and a city that is in love, that love one another, love your neighbor, and being a good Samaritan to each other. When I moved to my house in 1992, I hardly know how to deal with this now. But my neighbors, when I go to work, will come over while I'm at work, trying to figure out what to do when I get home, and plow my driveway for me. That is the Brooklyn Park that I knew of past. That is the Brooklyn Park rooted in love of God and love of one another, being a good Samaritan to each other. And that is the Brooklyn Park that I would like to return to. And that Brooklyn Park with love hears the voice of our community that needs clean drinking water, affordable housing, property tax reduction, and a policing program that really embraces all, not just a segment of the community, but something that works for all, because we are one, we are family, and we are in this struggle together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, you actually beat your time, so that's really good. I would want to now invite candidate Morrison, please, 1.5 minutes also for the audience question.
Well, since moving to Brooklyn Park, I've identified a snail's pace approach at uniting and engaging our fragmented community. Back in 2005, when I was a Human Rights Commissioner here, the Human Rights Commission was called the Human Relations Commission. The only commission in the entire state of Minnesota that was called the Human Relations Commission. I worked along with fellow commissioners during that time to get that name changed to be synonymous and uniform with the whole entire state as a Human Rights Commission. So that was one of the first big efforts that I extended here in Brooklyn Park by changing the Human Relations Commission to now the Human Rights Commission. I have then therefore implemented the celebrating the many faces of Brooklyn Park, which was a festival participated by all populations of people coming together back in 2005. I'm just here to pick up where I left off at to begin to unite our community as I started 2005, almost 17 years ago, or longer, if not longer, shall I say. But these are some things that we have been doing at a snail's pace with our community. We're recognizing, appreciating, and valuing our community of diversity where we have here in Brooklyn Park. So these are something that I'm continuing to do, that I'm striving for, that we need to do within our community, begin to embrace who we are as a diverse mosaic community of color here in Brooklyn Park, that you won't hear people mention that we are, but we are. If you don't believe me, check the census tract.
All right. Thank you very much. Now I would like to turn my attention to you, candidate Winston, 1.5 minutes also for the same question.
Yeah, so I have a bit of a different perspective than folks who said, it was all this love going around in Brooklyn Park. I think Brooklyn Park has for some time struggled with the changing nature of the city that it is. And I think the city is moving in the right direction in terms of its diversity, in terms of the leadership that we're beginning to produce. But what I'll say is this, I was talking to a business owner the other day, and they were bringing a business to Brooklyn Park, and they said, what bothers me is that you've got this city of 82,000 or 85,000 people, 6th largest city in the state. And yet when I go do business and I try to get something zoned to figure out what's working, it's like a good old boys club. And that struck me, is that we're this large city, and we've got all these people who are fighting to start their businesses, to get these opportunities, and yet they're locked out. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know how to access opportunities. And so for me, that's the thing that has to change about Brooklyn Park. Those opportunities need to be available for small businesses, for youth to get involved, for people to be a part of that police department. So for me, I'm much more a forward-looking person. So let's focus on where we need to go, and that's creating opportunities for everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, candidate Winston. Now to you, candidate Russell, please. Also 1.5 minutes for the same question from the audience.
Brooklyn Park has changed greatly since I moved here 18 years ago. And what has changed, I've seen the diversity of the city has increased remarkably. I've seen big box companies move to Brooklyn Park, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies I've seen move to Brooklyn Park. Some of these companies, I've challenged them and to ensure that the community receive community benefits agreement. Many of them have received tax dollars, and so I push to ensure that the community will benefit from some of the resources that they've received from the taxpayers. What I would like to see change, I would like to see a community. I would like to see a city that is unified with its police department. I would like to see an interconnected city where we have bike and pedestrian trails to help with our active living and reduce our disease burden. Bike and active living trails out in the northern part of the city as well as in the southern part of the city. All of them are connected, and a city that is age friendly to all of its residents. So that's the Brooklyn Park I would like to see. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, candidate Russell. Now to you, candidate Kudumova, please also have a minute and a half for the same question from the audience.
There were certain changes in Brooklyn Park in the period of 11 years I live here. And we got new library, new housing. But unfortunately, our violent crime rate grew up. And so this is the issue which I want to be resolved. I also want to see more affordable housing. I want to see Brooklyn Park having a new main street like other cities do, which has small shops, boutiques, and some entertainment for people to come and take a rest after the working day. Also, I want to see light rail finally in Brooklyn Park. And I think this light rail must be on the bridges. We don't have a space for the light rail corridor now. A railroad refused to share its right of way. So I think that the way out for Brooklyn Park is to have it in the air like many other cities do, like Chicago have their trains on the bridges. It saves space and it will reduce casualties from light rail, and it won't obstruct the traffic, and it's very good for the environment. And I also want to see in Brooklyn Park a new swimming pool complex. I want Olympic-sized swimming pool where athletes can train. And
thank you very much, candidates Yelena, actually. And you notice that when it's just top of the time, we just cut the candidates off because we noticed that that arrangement was going to help really stick to the time. And we apologize for people who may have found it a bit concerning, but that is the reason why we did that. Now, Cindy, please, what do you have for us?
All right, well, thank you so much for all the candidates and answering the audience as well as community questions on policy. We're now going to ask the candidates to give their closing statements. Each individual will have 1 minute, and we will give you a heads up when you have 10 seconds left. All right, starting with Mr. Morson.
Thank you. I'm Boyd Morrison. I'm respectfully but directly ask for your guys' vote and support as the 13th mayor of the only Purple Heart awarded city. But what better way to bestow that honor upon a veteran that served you, your family, and this country? Tried, tested, and proven, bold, brave, and courageous leader that I learned through the hard way of my serving you and your family in this country and the United States Navy. I'm stepping up once again to serve you, your family, and this city, to bring that same boldness, braveness, and courageousness to our city by asking the tough questions, that beginning to have the discussions that we need to have, that we are not having, that we need to have to begin to unite a fragmented community, to begin to build a bridge of communication, understanding that people can cross freely from prejudice and hate and racism and discrimination, to begin to build a bridge of love, welcoming, inviting, and including all people, despite where your origin, your language spoken, religion, and or your thoughts. But just because it's God's way and it's the right thing to do. I'm Boyd Morrison, respectfully but directly ask for you guys' vote and support as the 13th mayor of the only Kennebec County awarded Purple Heart Water City.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Morrison. Moving along to our next candidate, Mr. Winston. You have 1 minute.
So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen, as well as the moderators. I know it's not easy doing what you do. I want to ask for everybody's vote on April 13th. You can actually vote early at City Council in person from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. But really, what I'm really running for is because, I want to see a Brooklyn Park where opportunity is available for everybody. And a lot of people say that, right? But throughout my job, my regular job, my self-owned business, where I advocate for small businesses and go to the Capitol and fight for those businesses, to youth programs I've started with the African American DFL Caucus, where we got youth involved in politics, and eventually some of them ended up working in the Senate. I've been able to bring people together, but I've also been able to lead and make difficult decisions, but also create opportunities for people that weren't always there. And so that's really what I'm looking for. That's really why I'm running for mayor of Brooklyn Park. And as Democrat endorsed candidate, I'm also asking for your support and your vote on April 13th. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. You can look me up, www.hol.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Winston. And moving along to candidate Russell. You have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. So I'll ask for your vote now and on April 13th. My name is Winford Russell. You can please look me up if you need additional information at winfred.org. Winfred is spelled WYNFRED .org is my full website. My direct campaign phone number is 763-283-1859. You can also make a donation using that number through Zelle and Cash App. But for me, it's about the experience. It's about the track record of serving the people, of delivering for results. So I ask for your vote, and I will be pushing affordable housing, community safety, which includes police reform and all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Russell. Moving along to candidate Kudumova. You have 1 minute.
I shall do my best to stay connected to every little thing in the community, hear from people, and address their needs. I shall effectively represent Brooklyn Park at different levels, from county to state, and I shall attract investors and seek possibilities for receiving from Hennepin County and the state of Minnesota additional financing for realization of Brooklyn Park projects, such as road improvement and construction, bus service improvement, Blue Line, light rail extension, art center, swimming pool, and of course affordable housing. And you can vote now. Voting is open in the city hall, and also you can look up my agenda and what I strive at my website. It's voteforYelenaKurdyomova.com, and I ask you to vote for me. I shall be the best mayor you ever had.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Kudumova. And our last candidate, Mr. Osemenam, you have 1 minute.
Good evening, moderator, and good evening, my fellow Brooklyn Park residents. Everything said here today will amount to nothing if not rooted in love. It is that love that inspires us to listen to Brooklyn Park residents asking for help with our drinking water supply. It is that love that lends our ears to the cries of retired Hennepin County technician Jim Trousdale for property tax reduction. It is that love that lends our ear to many that are crying for affordable housing program. It is that love that begs for a true solution to the police incidents and crime that we have in the city. As your next mayor, I will put that love into practice by walking the talk with the community. I hope I can count on your vote now and on April 13th. Thanks and God bless.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Osemenam. Thank you for joining us all this evening. We hope this has been an informative session. The special election primary will be held on April 13th, but as the candidates mentioned, voting is underway. Be sure to cast your ballot. For more information on the special election session, be sure to visit the City of Brooklyn Park's website and tune in to Africa Let's Talk, as well as Mshale's sites for updates. Mr. Beyond? Oh, I think you're on mute.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Thank you very much once again to everybody for joining, and we hope you have a lovely evening. I would just want to, at this time, bring all the candidates on the screen so that their community will get one chance to see them again, and hopefully make that decision to vote now or definitely to vote on April 13th. During the primary elections. So on behalf of the production team here at African Let's Talk, and of course the production team between Beyond Media Solutions as well as Mshale, would like to say a very big thank you to you all candidates for availing yourself and your time to be with us on this forum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome. All right. So thanks to everybody who joined. I know there were a couple of questions that we couldn't directly ask the candidates. We would definitely follow up with them, maybe personally to address those questions at some point. But thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Cindy, as well.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You are welcome.